Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday, and previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., alongside Kaliko Yachts.
I mean, did anybody see that fight? I mean, it gives me hope that it looks like it's going to be more WWE friendly, the way they allow cursing on that shit. But the amount of cursing they allowed on that, I was like, God damn.
Well,
and Mike Tyson showed his ass, literally and figuratively.
Well, it might have not have been a good day for Mike Tyson, but it was a good week for Wrestling With, as we interviewed Ken Pyro on Tuesday and Adrian Gomez on Wednesday. Two incredible interviews, two unique individuals from two very different parts of the world. Definitely cannot recommend those interviews enough. This upcoming Tuesday, we have Kiki Van Gogh. Somebody from our neck of the woods, America.
Which America?
There's only one America. East Coast America.
There we go.
She's from New York. We talk about her relationship with her coach, who is the Amazing Red. Her current rivalries. A couple of run-ins with friends of the show like Becca and Little Mean Kathleen. We talk about Van Gogh himself, Lord of the Rings, and trying to get her driver's license as well. Definitely an interesting interview to say the least. Kiki definitely at the beginning stages of her career. Which brings us to Wednesday. Kahagas, the Tokyo Monster. Been in the ring with a lot of big legends, including New Jack, Dusty Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, Jake the Snake Roberts, and a handful of others. We talk about those names, and you also get a couple good antidotes as well. And he was NWA World's Heavyweight Champion at one point. So we talk about that. Picking up that title after Adam Pearce dropped it. And a hell of a lot more. You definitely don't want to miss either of these interviews. Definitely want to check them out, but don't take my word for it. Here's some clips now. Do you have your driver's license?
I do not have my driver's license, which is the worst thing that you can do as a wrestler, is not have a driver's license. So it's really, busting it and training it and getting a ride from other people kind of life that I'm living. Listen, taking the driving test is just so... Once I failed parallel parking, I was like, well, that's it. I can't. It was one of the most embarrassing moments ever because it happened in front of everyone else that was waiting to do the parallel parking of the exam. And I backed up and I hit the cone immediately. And the driver was like, just pull out. And I was like, no problem, sir. I'll pull out. Test is done.
He tried to sell me a pair of boots one time. Right? And they were small. They were his boots. And I guess he wears like an 8 or a 9, right? And I looked at his ass and I was like, yo, dog, you got small feet. And he goes, motherfucker, that shit ain't real.
And then on the 25th, which is a Monday, we have Ali Razor. On the 26th, Laurentis. On the 27th, Pete Phoenix. December 3rd, we have Orzorom Orza Menagerie Tinker. On the 4th, we have Dom Sirius. On the 10th, we have Fabio McKissick, and on the 11th, we have Paradox. So already getting into December, coming up on the ending of the year. Sure to have some interesting people on coming up after that, as well as we near 2025 and year 6 of Wrestling with Entertainment. Huh. Yeah. Alright, I think we're done putting ourselves over, no, Kaliko?
Never done putting ourselves over, sir.
Well, it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the news. And, a part of WWE ID, there was some new notable people signed to the company. A1 Lance Anoa'i. So, in about 6 months, he will be a part of the Bloodline storyline that is the never-ending storyline at this point.
I saw that coming.
A grandson of the Wild Samoans, son of one of them. I mean, is there any point of like saying, oh, he's a second-gen wrestler or a third-generation wrestler at this point?
I mean, he'll get. I mean, once I saw Knox Pro, I was like, oh yeah, they calling all them motherfuckers up. They all for the eat.
I think we should maybe count the ones that aren't in WWE at this point. I think it would be a faster tally.
It would be, but I mean, it's. Well, I kind of figured the Anoa'i would be in there. I'm just looking to see who else that is not related to them with Knox Pro specifically, who's going to join wrestling ranks.
I mean, the only one that's not joining them is Samoa Joe. And I mean, he got like fired like 15 times by WWE.
I mean, but he's not. He's Samoan. He's Samoan, but he's from Long Beach. He ain't with them like that.
I mean, Roman is from Pensacola.
Yeah, true. I'll give you that one. But my thing is, he's nowhere related to them. Although, is he?
No.
That's what I'm saying. So
he's the only Samoan that's not related to the Samoans.
Wait a minute, Haiku and them ain't related, right?
Loosely associated, I would say.
They're loosely associated, but not related.
I feel like they share like a cousin or two.
I personally think they just drank in partners.
That might be something. Another one signed was Trill Williams, who was actually a quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. You're a resident football guy, so do you know who this is? And do you think he might be a good, interesting prospect for WWE?
Well, they've always been yanking football players for it. So, but it's interesting with quarterbacks because usually they would pick the type that they would look for, like more defensive ends, D linemen. If they did play a speed position, to be like corner, wide receiver. But I've never seen a quarterback do wrestling because usually quarterbacks don't get hit a lot. So I'm trying to figure out the bump ratio he's taking before I make my final conclusion.
Okay, so you don't necessarily know this Miami Dolphin, Trill Williams.
Hell no, because he is not on the roster that I know of.
Okay.
Because if it ain't Tua Tagovailoa, and well, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, and that's
That
the
is
extent
about
of your Miami Dolphin knowledge.
I mean, but yeah. Oh no, he wasn't a quarterback. He was a cornerback.
Cornerback. Okay.
Now that makes total sense. Okay, cornerbacks can hit. So a former cornerback. When you said quarterback, I'm like, I can name you some Dolphins quarterbacks. He was not one of them. But a cornerback, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I feel it's just false advertisement because it said quarterback, or maybe I completely got that wrong.
Hell no, because I mean, if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you chilling for life. There's a guy, his name is I forgot his name, but they used to call him Clipboard Jesus because he was a backup for like 20 years. He had bread as a backup. You ain't leaving if you're a backup quarterback.
Cornerback, quarterback, they're all backs.
Tell that to their bank accounts.
Another name announced as a signee is Elijah Holyfield. And before you ask, that Holyfield? Yeah.
Yes,
That
Holyfield. Now I know who Elijah Holyfield is. Elijah Holyfield is a former running back for the University of Georgia. He was there when we won our national titles. Shout out. Anyways, and he was also he tried to go pro. He didn't get drafted, but he did make some teams. Last I remember was the Philadelphia Phillies, or not Phillies, the Philadelphia Eagles. So he's had a couple seasons in the league. They kind of figured this was going to be his runabout because Goldberg hangs around the UGA players frequent sometimes.
Okay.
So it wasn't out of the realm of it for him.
Well, I mean, obviously Lance Anwar, he's Samoan, he's a part of the legacy. He's probably going to be a fish to water at this point. I mean, facts are facts.
Right.
But anybody that's coming into pro wrestling that doesn't necessarily have a pro wrestling background, I would say that it's maybe a 50-50, honestly. It's just a matter of how they take to it. Like, I mean,
well,
you have somebody that like Kurt Angle that took to it immediately, or you have Gable Stevenson who didn't take to it at all. You know what I mean?
True. I'll give Holyfield a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because he genetically he can make. You would think by proxy of genetics he should be good, and plus the only thing that's probably going to hurt him is his height because he's not very for a pro wrestler. He is not that tall.
How tall is he?
So. Probably 5'10", 5'11".
I mean, Daniel Bryan was like 5'6".
But Daniel Bryan was also a guy who did it for 20 some odd years, and he basically had the capital of the people.
Right. I mean,
like
for Holyfield, I don't think that the physical aspect is going to be a problem for him. It's just, obviously some things about him, but what I'd like to know is personality-wise, if he's going to connect with the crowd or not. I think that's going to be the determining factor of if he's going to sink or float.
I think that'll be the biggest problem of any football player because as a football player, you're just used to being rooted for because you play for a team or being rooted for because you just wear the jersey. You're not really trying to make someone hate you, in a sense.
Right. I mean, his dad was a decorated boxer. I mean, he might have got some of that intel, whether he asked his father or just watching, him from the sidelines.
But Holyfield wasn't a shit talker.
Hmm.
I mean, I know Holyfield. He was never a shit talker. He was an athletic specimen who blew his money and had a gang of kids. But with that being said, he was also not a talker. He was just a guy who boxed. He was an excellent boxer, but he just was like the most controversy he got into with anything was the Mike Tyson bit. And that was because Tyson bit his ear off. It wasn't like he was talking shit. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was talking shit about him. So take that as you wish. I think that'll be the biggest hurdle for any of the ex-athletes.
It's funny how this information about Elijah's signing comes right off the cusp of the Mike Tyson fight. I feel like that might have been planned. But that's just...
I mean, Elijah Holyfield was at that fight, so... I mean, a lot of people were at that fight. Shaquille O'Neal was at that fight, but it's a whole different story.
Was he with the general?
The general was not there. He was with Rob Gronkowski, though. 69 guy.
Yeah. Well, from 100% signed to a new prospect, Speedball Mike Bailey has not renewed with TNA, is a free agent at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking, who wouldn't want Mike Bailey on their roster? I mean, the guy is phenomenal. What are your thoughts on Mike Bailey's prospects at this point?
I say he test the field and figure out what's best for him. I mean, it sucks for TNA, but to me, I think he runs the indies for a bit. I mean, he could always go to Cody Rhodes' method, make himself so valuable in the market that they would have to come with him with more money. Because I personally don't want. I mean, as much as I love AEW, I feel like he would just be a flavor of the month, and then they'll just. I mean, he would be the newest action figure in Tony Khan's figurine collection.
Right.
But yeah, I would tell him to test the indies and then see where it goes. He would be a good hand in NXT because they need a person who is indie bound who can make a shock in that system. No pun intended to Adam Cole. Sorry.
Well, I mean, just going off what you just said, yeah, TNA, that's a big kick to the nuts, because low-key, I kind of feel like they did him dirty in that last match he had. I mean, they let him lose to El Hijo El Vikino, and then Vikino got injured literally that night and had to relinquish the title. So, I mean, I feel like TNA doesn't know the value of the people that they have that aren't WWE alumni. And I feel like they pass up the people that are actually good, that aren't, previously WWE, just for the stock value and just the ticket sale of, hey, we have a former WWE guy on our show, or woman. Mike Bailey could have been a mega star for TNA. He could have um, he could have carried that company for years to come. And honestly, they didn't see that value, and he picked up on that. Um, but when it comes to like what you said, him playing the field, I mean, Mike Bailey worked more on Independence than he did for TNA before he left. So I don't necessarily think it's a matter of doing more matches on the independents. I think it's just a matter of who's going to treat him properly and where he sees himself fit better. Does he want to do the flippy shit of AEW? I mean, it'll explain a lot about his personality if he does. Or does he want to go to New York? You know what I mean?
I mean, I know what you mean. I just when I say play the field, is just like weigh your options. I mean, he can. It's not like he's going to be hurting for gigs, right?
Right.
So I wouldn't jump into an offer right away if I was him. And I will give TNA credit with something. They have revived some people when it comes to former WWE talents. The problem is that if they were a big enough name, then they'll let them carry the show. And I'll give it an example. So like Deonna Purrazzo, when she was in NXT, she was nobody. She went to TNA and they made her into like a top 10 female wrestler in the world, right?
Right.
So they can do it if they do it right. I just think the NXT, and that's my thing too, because he might as well have went to NXT because they were kind of doing collabs anyway. I mean, it's no different than Jordan Grace going to NXT.
But like, and where's Deonna Purrazzo right now? She's in the mid card of AEW. So
Well, that's her choice, though. That was she had the I think she bet on herself, and then she was like, "Fuck you, WWE. I'm gonna go make my name in AEW." And yeah, she's just been stuck ever since because she fought for the title, and then it's that she got caught AEW formula: hop in, get a title shot, lose, and then get floated around.
right.
So.
And it's not a matter of making somebody a star because TNA has done it before. It's kind of maintaining that stardom. Because after she lost that title and became, a top 10 talent, what did she do after she lost the title? She kind of floated around, and the last thing I saw she did in TNA was she got a bowl of a pot of chili thrown on her, and that was the reason for her rivalry was because chili. So
Like TLC, digging on you, digging on me. No, not that. No, not that chili.
not that chili.
Damn.
Oh.
Okay.
So I always go back when you have a mega run. How do you Okada back? Okada went crazy. He wore pants. He dyed his hair red. He carried a balloon around him, and he did that until he was able to bounce back. And I don't think TNA knows when their talent, is coming off a major run, how to bounce them back.
So you're saying like once they get to a certain, kind of like if what's going to happen with Joe Hendry in 2025.
I mean, Joe Henry, they already fucked that up. I mean,
That's the point I'm making. Like,
yeah,
that's going to be him in 2025.
they had the perfect storm, and they didn't give him the title. that's a very TNA thing that they did. Like, and for who? Dolph Ziggler, a former WWE wrestler. Let me ask you this, Kaliko. How many TNA champions have been former WWE champions? And how many former TNA wrestlers have been WWE champion?
Ooh. So you're saying how many people have? Well, Lashley was a flip flop. AJ was a flip flop.
AJ wasn't a flip
Ziggler.
flop. He was 100% TNA. AJ.
No. But you're saying that TNA ain't gone on to be a champion at WWE.
Yeah.
So yeah, he would count. Lashley would count. Ziggler counts the other way around. I'm trying to think who was a former WWE wrestler champion that. I mean, Alberto Del Rio. Was he ever a TNA champion?
Yeah, he must have been.
Yeah. See, Alberto Del Rio.
Think Cody Rhodes was TNA champion at one point?
No, that's a good question. No.
Well, I mean, Steve Macklin was former WWE superstar.
I'm trying to. Yeah, that's a good question. I get what you're saying. I see what you're trying to follow through. It's like what happens after that push. But then again, usually after that push, they're out of in TNA. They're out of the company because Lashley had all the belts at one point, and then he fucking lost it, and he left. He got out the company, back to the E.
I mean, even Kurt Angle.
AJ had the belt, he lost it, then went back to the E. So it's. I just think they have a problem with ingrown talent. That's the key. They're not capitalizing on ingrown talent like they used to.
Right. I mean, when you think TNA, you think AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Chris Sabin, and
Motor City Machine Guns.
Motor City Machine Guns. But,
Samoa Joe.
Who do you think nowadays? Like, there's nobody that you could say is a TNA, like, original, so to speak. Maybe Josh Alexander.
Moose.
Moose, yeah.
Moose. I give Moose. Josh Alexander.
Was Eddie Edwards anywhere before he went to TNA?
Probably ROH. Because you remember he was with the American Wolves.
Yeah.
So maybe, but even then, we were thinking people that signed with TNA and then decided not to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Which would be, at this point, personally, when you think of it top of your head, just Moose and Josh Alexander.
Yeah, I would say so. But, just kind of going back to Speedball, low-key, everybody wants to say, oh, Okada was a big signee. Will Ospreay, big signee. Mercedes, big signee. I think low-key Speedball is a big signee if you're looking to the future. Because I think he could do it all, and I think he could add a lot of value to WWE, whether he goes to NXT or is drawn on the main roster. He has banger matches. He's just a hell of a nice guy. The only thing I kind of fear for is maybe on the promo aspect of things. But, either way that can be adjusted if they see the potential that I'm kind of seeing in him. I think he could be a bigger star. He could be a bigger attraction than Will Ospreay is right now in AEW. But that's just me. Speaking of big attractions, Becky Lynch. She's expected to come back in January for the first episode of Raw on Netflix. What are you expecting Becky to do when she comes back? Obviously, she's going to be factored into WrestleMania plans, no?
Enter the Rumble. That's about it. Because what other story was she? When she left, her story was. I mean, it really wasn't a story. It was basically she got caught up in the live stuff.
Right.
But maybe she comes back and helps Rhea with live, but I don't see that happening. But I mean, either way, she's going to come back and insert herself as a dominant personality because they got the cult following with her.
Right. I could see them doing something with her and Valkyria, maybe a tag team. If we're heading towards Jade Cargill and Bianca's blow up, then you need somebody to take those tag titles off of them. Becky.
But didn't she just go back to NXT with shit? I forgot her name. They reunited. Oh, I forgot her name.
Baby United.
They reunited.
They reunited. Oh, I have no idea.
It's on the top of my tongue too. I want to say it's Tatum Paxley, but I think it is Tatum Paxley.
Yeah. I remember something like that. They got back together or wove together. Or I couldn't tell you. but that would be something to do with Becky. Another thing I would say was they just announced on SmackDown last week, it was a gross oversight on our part, the first ever Women's United States Championship. It does beg the questions if we're going to get a Raw Women's secondary Women's Championship on Raw. And if it does, I mean, why wouldn't you want Becky Lynch as your first champion?
Depends. Honestly, they kind of... Okay. One, they put the tag titles, which is fine, but the problem is they didn't have any, stacked tag teams for it.
Right. They still don't.
They still don't. That's the other problem. And then you got this title. Now this one makes more sense because singles divisions are super stacked, and you're gonna need more storyline involved. So I guess this is an eye out on the future for women's wrestling, which I'm all here for it because everybody needs something to do. I mean, not everybody can just fight over, whose hair ain't what backstage. So, I'll take any of this stuff as it comes. It'll be interesting to see how they crown this champion via tournament format. Because it's going to be a tournament format, right?
Yeah. I believe they already started the tournament.
So, be interesting. Who's the first one? Bayley? She ain't got shit to do.
Well, Bayley's still kind of factored into the Nia Jax storyline, isn't she?
Now, but eventually she's fading out. Iffy time.
True. I want to say that the only logical person to win that title, the United States one, would be a one Chelsea Green. I feel like she could low-key really do really well with that title.
Honestly, they should have just had the tag titles. Personally.
Well, I mean, Bianca and Cargill, so.
No, they're a better tag team than goddamn. They seem like a better tag team than a better cohesive tag team.
And from what I'm hearing, if there is a Raw a secondary women's title, it is going to be the Netflix championship.
Oh God.
Yes. So.
Please no. No.
Me and Scooter are very happy about that.
No. Yep. Just Women's Intercontinental. Call it a goddamn. No.
But I mean, then they would have to do a whole tournament in Rio de Janeiro, and do they really want to go through all that trouble?
That's what you're supposed to do. At least you got more real female wrestlers now.
I mean, there was real men wrestlers in the 1970s, Calico. I mean, there was no shortage.
You know what? We for the listeners, we found those wrestlers.
Yes, something will be coming soon.
And it was pretty secret, like the Kumite in Bloodsport. So yeah, you're right.
Yes, we want, but I think low-key it would actually be cool if they had, an actual tournament in Brazil to say that there was a Brazilian, tournament for a title.
That's what I'm talking about. That'd be the biggest rib in there. We actually had a tournament in Rio de Janeiro with actual women wrestlers, and the winner became
the Pat Patterson Open.
Oh, that would be dope.
Yeah, I'm thinking it, and obviously that would be a really big event. Maybe even a stadium show. That being said, AEW is considering downsizing the arenas that they go into for Dynamite and Collision, going from the 8 to 10,000 seat arenas to 3 to 5,000 seat arenas. They said that it's a new strategy of presenting AEW differently than we've ever seen before. I think that they're just losing a shitload of money on really large arenas.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh, God. How come I knew that was going to be the first thing? I think it was just, I mean,
if you're only filling an arena to 2 to 3,000 in a 10,000 seat arena, you can't tell me that you're making money on that event. I mean, you're a numbers guy.
I am a numbers guy. Yeah, they weren't. I mean, personally, I think that was a long time coming. Unless they just change how they do the whole thing off the rip. I mean, that is a possibility, but I don't see that happening. And I mean, it's good for them. It's a good move to make the crowd seem more impactful, and then it'd be interesting because what was the gate for All Out Chicago? Or All In Chicago?
This year?
Yes, because that's a telling sign. Because Chicago's their go-to.
Give me a minute. I mean,
that's their baby.
They pretty much, I think they alienated their Chicago fans because they screwed over CM Punk. Actually, that's All In. We need All Out. Hold on. Okay.
Because that'll tell me everything I need to know.
Give me one moment. It's loading. But it was in the September 7th at the Now Arena. No, it's not loading. Okay, here we go. Ooh, interesting. It does not say. Hoffman
Because
Estate, Illinois, the Now Arena. Let's see. This is a 1,000-seat arena. 1,543. I wonder if that is how much they actually got.
I'm trying to think. All in. Or is it all out?
Are you talking? You're talking about the Chicago show. So the Chicago show.
The Chicago show
is all out.
Right. So the last time I saw was 6,513 tickets out.
In a 1,000-seat arena.
Which, so, and that was down from 9,286. So yeah, it's dwindling. It's dwindling. And I don't know. I mean, it helps that I guess they're doing something different with this whole Mox thing. Didn't help that it looked like the Bucks was just using their powers to win the title for the 88th millionth time. And then it damn sure didn't help that Kenny.
Yeah. With left pastors.
So, I mean,
you know,
it's.
I think if they, obviously they're going in they're taking a step in the TNA direction of running smaller buildings. But, you know, I do think that when they did work those smaller arenas, it was actually beneficial towards them. You know, it does boost the morale when, you know, you have a 3,000 seat arena and you sell 3,000 seats. You know, I won't say that, you know, when it comes, they won't be able to go back to larger arenas, but for what they're doing right now, it seems like the best choice.
Well, it could be a gift and a curse. And the reason I say it's a curse, because it's like if I can only put it in music. It's like if Boyz II Men was one of the biggest groups in the 90s, right? And they're used to selling out MSG football fields and stadiums. When you go from that to this, could be a morale booster if the ego is not properly set. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it could be a morale downer. Could be a down on morale if no one is there to, you know, pick up that piece.
Do you think that they would be able to get back to 8 to 10,000 seat arenas?
They can, but the problem is they know their audience. They know who they're serving. And as long as those people that are serving are still coming, they're going to give them that piping hot, flippy shit.
Yeah, and as long as Chad Khan continues it allows it to continue.
Went from Chad Khan to Coke Khan to Pepsi Khan.
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan.
Nick Khan.
Nick Khan.
Keeping up with AEW news. More or less, um, Kenny Omega has switched hats and is currently working for New Japan Pro Wrestling. His first match back from injury will be at the January 5th show in the Tokyo Dome. Which begs the question, when is he coming back to AEW? Which I find a very interesting conversation because he spoke to that, and I'll be paraphrasing here. He basically said that he owes New Japan a lot because people didn't know who Kenny Omega was until they gave him the platform to show who he was. So when it comes to repaying New Japan, Kenny Omega's first match back feels like a way to repay them. And he also felt like AEW is doing great things right now, and it seems like they have their footing with storylines, and everybody knows what they're doing. And it would be unfair for him to just kind of drop himself into everything and mess all of that up. From the surface, that sounds like a really, valid and, logical answer. But I kind of feel like there's something underlying with the fact that there might be some heat between Kenny Omega and AEW. Do you kind of sense that? Or am I just making heat where none exist?
Well, it would be making heat where none exist if the Bucks didn't take time off TV. Because if he were to come back, he would have came back solely just for revenge against the Bucks. Am I not? So the reason he would come back is gone. At least for the time being. Unless they have him come back and be like, hey, how about you and Okada do that magic shit again y'all were doing it at the Tokyo Dome?
I legit think that would kill Kenny Omega at this point in his life.
Right. So, honestly, him going back to New Japan, like I said, they needed that shot in the arm more than anybody else.
Yeah. When you have Yoshihashi competing for a major singles championship, you have fucking problems.
That's what I'm telling you, man. And Ricochet's out here trying to challenge 50-50 at Wrestle Kingdom.
And he's Kobe Bryant, apparently.
Okay, stop. Anyways.
No, he literally said that. That's something that came out of Ricochet's mouth.
I'm done.
Take your hat, take a bow.
Okay. Okay.
You good?
Okay, Ricochet. Don't get me wrong. You the man, bruh, but Kobe, bro. Okay.
I mean, at least Kobe Bryant won a championship. That's all I'm saying.
Wow. You took it there. I mean, even I wasn't going to take it there. Shit.
I mean, when you're mostly over because your girlfriend says words on a microphone, you have problems.
Hey, man, he picked her.
I mean, yeah. But,
Pickens half the battle.
What was we talking about? Kenny Omega. Yes.
Yeah, Kenny Omega. Yes, and
I mean,
to be quite honest, he's the most popular. He's the most popular wrestler in New Japan right now.
like you said, then the Young Bucks that have left for the time being. I was uh, we've speculated that they might be coming back as baby faces to fight the evil Dick Riders. I mean, Death Riders or Death Riders of Dick, something of that nature.
Did you just say the Death Riders of Dick? I'm so yes,
Yep.
very yeah.
Um, but I mean, then you just pull an MJF and Adam Cole and have Kenny Omega be the heel and the Bucks the faces. Because I'm sure that's why everybody paid their ticket to see Kenny Omega as a heel against the Young Bucks.
Why wouldn't they?
I mean, it's the same people that bought a ticket to see heel Becky Lynch fight babyface Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
It was non-existent.
Hey man, I can't help it. It is what it is. I mean, honestly, it makes sense for him. It makes sense for him to stay on the sidelines in AEW because considering that most of the people there know the story, when he goes back there, it's going to eclipse everything that's going on right now. And if you're trying to build this Moxley shit, you don't want it. You don't want that taken over.
I kind of see that, but I can see that, but I also also kind of sensing that Kenny might be on the outskirts with AEW, and I just wonder if he's going to be staying when the time comes for his contract. That's just me.
I mean, he's gonna stay. He's got more days behind him than ahead of him when it comes to his wrestling.
And I mean, why not get your feet wet with with New York? I mean, his dream match for him is to wrestle AJ Styles. I mean, AJ Styles isn't leaving WWE anytime soon. So
Shit, the hell he is. He's got about a year.
So I mean, why not explore that option, especially if you're coming on the tail end of your career? I mean, the fucking Motor City Machine Guns looked like they were ready to be taken out to the barn and shot, and they're tag team fucking champions right now.
Oh my god. I guess. I mean, but to me, I think that AJ's gonna retire. I think once AJ retires, he's done. I don't see him wrestling anybody else anytime soon. I wouldn't be surprised if AJ's finals match was with John Cena.
If he's able to come back in time.
And then Omega, I mean, let him get his feet wet by fucking up Yoshihashi like he does for everybody. and then we'll go from there.
Alright. Well, I mean, I think his first rivalry is with Gabe Kidd. So, I don't want to say Gabe Kidd is unsafe or is safe or go down that road, but I mean, that's where they're going with it for right now, at least.
Hey, Gabe Kidd, then Yoshihashi.
And what do we think about Yoshihashi?
Fuck Yoshihashi.
keeping on the AEW news, Collision, which takes place on Saturdays, will now be taped on Thursday. I feel like that's low-key a death sentence for Collision. I mean, we're doing away with Rampage, so we don't have to necessarily care about Rampage. And Collision has been dwindling and slowly sinking fast. So I kind of feel like this is maybe the final nail in that coffin. Because I think a lot of people want to see pro wrestling live. Not a lot of people are going to, you know, see that it's taped and say, oh, well, I'm definitely going to see this like 5 days later. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could shit. The internet's complaining about WWE taping shows so people can have the holidays off. So that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Even though they're still going to be working the holiday tour circuit.
I mean, low-key, it was a bad time for them to tape shows, considering, I mean, the Bloodline storyline that's going on. And you want to have those, that story hit hard rather than, well, I saw it online. You know what I mean?
Well, that is true. But that's how it always goes. I mean, it's the same thing when they do with like sitcom comedy shows when they film 10 shows in one day or some shit.
I mean, but they don't allow you to spoil it when you're in the crowd.
I mean, have they spoiled the ones that they've done so far?
Not sitcoms or WWE.
Yes.
I mean, if we're talking about sitcoms, then no, there hasn't. But if we're talking about WWE, I mean, obviously.
I mean, I haven't heard any spoilers for the taping so far.
Because they're literally taping them.
That's my point. If they're taping, I mean, you know how it goes. They usually give you like that, what happened. Like when NXT got taped a couple times, you kind of got the back story of what happened. But you can know what happened, but there's a difference of knowing what happened and you seeing it for yourself of how it happened.
True.
And I think that'll help them out.
I know Scooter was very much on the consensus of if he could find out what happened before he actually saw it, then it ruined it for him, and he didn't really want to watch the show afterwards. I do low-key kind of feel like a lot of people have that consensus as well. So
I get it because you kind of want the shock as it happens. Yeah. It's almost kind of like knowing the score of the football game. I akin this to knowing the score of the football game. Knowing the final score of the football game that you didn't watch, you still got to watch and see how that even developed.
I get that.
So it's like a team that's down, I don't know, 28-3 in the Super Bowl, and you didn't watch the Super Bowl, and you heard that they had a comeback. You're going to be like, oh, shit, I got to see how the fuck they came back.
I get that.
So I'm not knocking that. I just see both sides of the coin. But I also see the fact that, Triple H is trying to be more employee friendly. So I get it.
Well,
and that's kind of like the one thing that I've honestly, and I also think by taping them and giving them the holidays off, it gives us that pseudo off season that people like myself been kind of hinkering towards, because a lot of these people get injured, and they having that little 3 to 4 week period off is the big difference between an injury getting worse and that injury getting better.
Right. Well, speaking of, depending on who you ask, Triple H is doing a good job when it comes to, some aspects of pro wrestling and WWE. I think it's maybe a consensus that he definitely dropped the ball when it came to the women's War Games match. I don't know if you saw, but the participants in said match. Have you?
Enlighten the audience so we can go piece by piece.
Okay. Well, Raw was taped, and Rhea Ripley made her return in a Cody Rhodes undashing mask, which in return set up the women's War Games match? Question mark. That will host a one. Hold on, let me pull it up so I get this right. Well, it was the faces are Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Io Shirai, or Io Sky, or one of the eyes, versus Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Gonzalez. Yeah.
Okay. Wait a minute, repeat that again?
Okay, so we got Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Io Sky versus Liv Morgan, Raquel Gonzalez, Nia Jax, and Tiffany Stratton.
Tiffy time.
Yeah.
Well, I get it, because there's not really like a team.
Because so few some lesbians.
Keep in mind, tend to be in teams of three. So I get it, and I think War Games. Maybe some of the needle when it comes to what's the word I'm trying to think of? At least some of the storylines with Tiffy and Nia, I can see it manifesting itself worse in the War Games.
Honestly,
but yeah, it just seemed. I mean, and they didn't. The champions versus the challengers, essentially.
It kind of feels like a hodgepodge. Just, oh shit, we need to do a women's War Games. Who do we have available? And this is what we got. I feel like it would have been. It would have been okay if they didn't do a women's War Games.
So you think that they should have skipped altogether a women's War Games?
Well, I mean, what would have been the alternative to that? I mean, what were Kalika?
I mean, but I mean, there's never really.
Ooh, and we lost Kaliko. Respawn. Um, so,
Respawn.
so what was you saying about the women's match?
Oh, when was there ever a faction versus faction women's war games?
Um, the what were they called? The
Like
toxic
a whole dedicated faction, a team of 5, and all of them were on the same team as a faction against another team.
I mean,
You've had threes, and you've had threes, or if you had, but for the most part, women's have always been a hodgepodge of teams.
But I mean, yeah, they'll. I mean, even the men's at this point is a bit of a hodgepodge. You
Not
have,
really.
well, I mean, you had the OG bloodline, which makes perfect sense, versus the new bloodline, and now they added Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, and I mean, low key, I mean, yeah, Bronson Reed kind of sorta, but it does seem like it was kind of forced more than why couldn't we just have a 4-on-4? You know what I mean?
Because honestly, they're using that as an angle to continue the Reed versus
Rollins.
Rollins feud, and this is a kind of a callback to me because Rollins and Roman has never really had a coming to Jesus moment, if you will.
Right.
So, and the last time they seen each other, Rollins was there taking the back chair shot, remember?
Yeah.
So it's kind of apropos in that sense. It's kind of like a because everyone's happy that Roman is a face. However, there's 5 years of wrongs that needs to get rectified
Yeah.
along the way. So it's not even, and most people are just thinking about the hero's journey in the sense of getting the Ulafala or the title back. But now his hero's journey is a lot deeper because now it's having to deal with people he has actually hurt along the way.
Right.
Due to his greediness. And the people who spent, hell, their last living breaths trying to take him down.
So I'm gonna throw something out there, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree. Low key, I think that they may have gotten The Rock for this match, but at the last minute he said no, or he couldn't do it. And then they was like, oh shit, now we're stuck in, we're stuck now because we said 5-on-5. And
The Rock ain't coming out to no goddamn brutal War Games match. He makes too much goddamn money to be trying to go out there.
I mean, he would be the last person in the ring. He'll do a kick, he'll do a punch, he'll do the people's elbow, and he'll do the rock bottom.
No, because if you had that match, bullshit. He is not gonna. No, he wouldn't. He himself wouldn't even do the Brock Lesnar method. Come in at the last minute and just snatch shit. He wouldn't even allow himself to do that.
Well, I mean, it would make sense for him to come out and mess shit up, just to maybe set up the Roman Rock match for Mania.
But that is 5 months down the line.
Like that
That's a
stopped,
long. That's a long goddamn time.
like that stopped them before.
But the point I'm making is that he ain't taking no goddamn war game bumps. I mean, I give you props. I mean, you can hope, but shit, that ain't happening.
And on the new bloodline side, would have had made sense to bring in Hikuleo? I mean, they've been waiting.
Maybe they don't want to bring him in yet.
I mean, but what would be the reason to wait?
Because maybe they waiting on Mania. You got me, sir. Like, because I think most people are looking for it. Zig when they zag.
I don't know. It seems like there was an unnecessary step in all of this. But hey, what do I know?
I see it, but then when it happens, everybody gonna be like, "Oh, that's why."
Okay, so maybe Rock's not in the War Games match. What about him just coming out and honestly looking at Roman Reigns with that stupid title that he has?
Who's to say that ain't gonna happen?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe that does happen.
That's what I'm saying. He ain't coming. Trust me, man. If he coming out, he like, I no bump yet.
No yob.
No yob yet.
Never yob.
Shit. He's taking his time to take these bumps.
Yeah. No yob for The Rock.
Not yet.
He's just making us yob with that fucking Christmas movie he's making.
Hey. He'll be back. They need to promote that movie like a motherfucker.
I mean, they already are.
I'm just saying. I can see him at the board meetings. Put this shit in my commercials. Just play my shit. Play my commercials on this shit. Just yeah. Oh, Rocky. What are we gonna do with you, man?
I think that will conclude our coverage of the news in this episode as a whole. If you like what we're doing, please, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Play One Coffee. Join us this Tuesday as we interview Tiki Van Gogh, this Wednesday as we interview Cahagas, and join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Twitter, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can we find Kaliko?
I'm Kaliko. I'm sorry, Rock. I'm gonna get tickets to go see that movie. Okay, my bad.
I will not.
Promise. I promise.
For Kaliko Yachts and Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Man, you better go get them tickets, especially if they T-Mobile $5 tickets. I jump on them.
I don't have T-Mobile.
Oh, God damn it. We tried. Oh, God, we tried.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.